Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Marex, Senior Index Specialist with Nasdaq Investment Intelligence for a monthly recap on our major global index performance. Mark, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks. And it's interesting, while the major averages had a pretty decent July, it was really pretty mixed within the global indexes.
Yeah, Jill, very mixed performance. We track about 70 of these key indexes. Only about 45 of them were positive for the month of July. You'll see on this first slide, we've got a column on the left there with featured indexes, and then on the right, global indexes. So it's a pretty interesting mix here. You can see small cap definitely underperformed. EM also underperformed, whether it's kind of EM in general or Asia ex-Japan in particular. Those are really the two worst performing regions on this slide. You're seeing most of US and DM positive or slightly positive, except for that small cap space. And then on the left hand side, you can see the weakness is really concentrated in the financials. Again, we pointed this out in some of our prior conversations. Financials, that kind of whole cyclical value reflation play that's been going on for almost a year now, really is running out of steam. And you can see towards the bottom there a lot of leadership from, again, Nasdaq 100, whether it's the equal weighted version, the cap weighted version, the tech sector part of the Nasdaq 100, or even the ex-tech sector part of the Nasdaq 100, stepping back into that leadership position in July.
And when we take a look at the next slide here, we're looking at thematics and tech. And it's interesting what you're saying about the Nasdaq 100, because while it performed well, it almost kind of shows you how those basket of stocks are really what moves it, because it really is more of a mixed picture when you look at the different types of technology indexes.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at thematic, and this is about 30 thematic offerings from Nasdaq on this slide, you'll see, it's about half red, half blue. Again, a big mixed story. If you look at kind of the bottom of this chart, you'll see a bunch of health care thematic indexes bunched up in the red there. Junior biotech is the worst performer. That was an area that got really hot in 4Q of last year and early this year. It's been cooling off for several months now. And then the Nasdaq China US Internet Tiger Index, which actually continues this month to really underperform given the specifics of what's going on in China with the regulatory regime adjusting. So you're seeing these kind of weird little pockets of weakness, whether it's reflation and cyclicals and value kind of petering out, whether it's certain areas of thematics like healthcare, like also ESG and green energy, which had been really hot earlier in the year. And then, of course, you got, the big concerns in China, which I think are spilling over into some of those other parts of EM.
And our last slide here, we can take a look at some other things such as dividends, clean energy.
Yeah, so on the right here, you can see our lineup of kind of featured dividend and income indexes. A lot of blue on this one, right? Not that much red, only the multi-asset and then one of the dividend achievers in the US indexes were really negative for the month. Also one of the Canadian ones, just barely negative, but overall a much more positive story for kind of the more defensive income plays. And then on the left hand side, you can see the green economy space. Again, a mixed picture. I had highlighted on the previous pages one of our water thematic indexes was one of the better performers on that slide. Here you've got the global water and the US water indexes. These are really the top two performing indexes of those 70 that we look at every month, but a completely different story in solar and wind. Those areas of ESG and kind of clean energy that have been really hot earlier in the year, still continuing to cool off into July.
All right, Mark, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.